Welcome back to Invest Global. Today we're going to be discussing a country that is actually one of my favorites in the EU, Poland. Now, I was recently in Warsaw and in Krakow and absolutely love both of these cities. I think today one of the most important things to understand here is the benefits of Polish citizenship. Yes, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Yes, there are a lot of things you have to go through, but the actual passport is pretty incredible. And typically with these videos on citizenships and residencies, I talk about the passport at the end of the video, but in this one, I'm actually going to talk about it at the beginning of the video. And one of these interesting tools that I like is this passport index. I will have this link down below in the description of this video, along with all other things like kind of key videos that I talk about on this channel. Don't just talk about citizenships and residencies. I talk about all things kind of like global investing, whether it's blockchain, whether it's commodities, emerging market stocks, really anything like that, real estate. But here you can kind of see the actual Polish passport. What is the kind of freedom options? Where can you get into visa free? And you can actually look at it individually. So if you're curious on one individual aspects, you can look into that yourself. But I just kind of wanted to preview this for you guys. The mobility score here that is native to passport index is 134. You have 95 visa free countries. So that's actually pretty good. Visa on arrival, you have 35. Visa required, 64. So the actual world reach is right around 67%. And you can see here, you can potentially get in, US, you have to, this is like visa, I think if I remember, yeah, this is visa on arrival. You look at Canada, this is visa required, Russia, visa required, China. So those are kind of one of these where it's like some other passports that I've talked about on this channel. You can get into China, you can get into Russia, so they're a bit more compelling. But let's move back here onto Google Earth and let's zoom in on Poland. Currently actually recording this from Bratislava, Slovakia. Love my stay in Poland, though. Absolutely beautiful country. I think there's a lot of opportunities, honestly, here for investing. If you look at the stock markets, in my personal opinion, one of the cheapest stock markets. If you're curious on more information on Poland in general, I highly, highly recommend you check out Sven's website, Undervalued Shares. Maybe I'll have that link down below. He did a great series on Poland. I actually read through it, I think, a couple of times while traveling around Poland. It's a 3-part series specifically on investing in Poland and the stock market. Really, really interesting. So I highly recommend you check that out. Again, it's called Undervalued Shares. You can probably just type that into Google as well, but I'll have his website linked down below in the description. So what is going on here with the Polish passport? Now, there's really 3 main options I want to talk about today. Number 1, citizenship by naturalization, where you have a residency permit and that residency potentially turns into citizenship. Then you have citizenship by marriage and citizenship by descent. Starting off with citizenship by residency, essentially, how do you obtain a residency? First of all, well, there's kind of 2 main options. Number 1, you start a business where you essentially, again, I talk about this in a lot of videos, but it's a value add to the country. So this is on a bit of a case-by-case basis to how much value you're bringing to the country. And with this, you can have a residency permit, and these permanent residencies renew after 3 months. Okay, so after 3 months, you have to renew this, kind of reset it up. And these things do constantly change. To keep that in mind, I'm always looking to improve these videos. So if you see something that I said wrong or something has changed, if you're watching this in 2022 and some laws have changed, maybe I can do an updated version of this. But essentially, that's the idea, right? So if you can bring in business, if you can hire local Polish people, if you can value add to the economy, they will grant you residency, right? So this is on a bit of a case-by-case basis. I would say think about it around like $150,000 investment or euro investments to 200,000 euro investment, right? So kind of think about that aspect just for a bit of a frame of reference. You're not going to go in with $10,000 and get a business residency permit. That's just not going to happen. Kind of the second option is I would say kind of a 2-part. So if you're studying in Poland, you're actually a student, or you're an employee, right? So this is a highly skilled job, right? So whether it's design, developer, things like this, like a coding, where you're bringing in maybe e-commerce jobs, things like this. And again, you're adding value to the economy. You don't want to be a drain on society. Think about it from the perspective of the Polish government going, is this person a plus or a minus? That's just objectively, that's kind of how they view things, right? So that's citizenship through the naturalization option of residency. Now, what does this mean? Once you have a residency, it's 10 years. You have to obtain that residency and stay in Poland. You have to hold that residency for 10 years. Now, I know this is a long process, but I do think it's kind of worth it, because you have access to a lot of these EU countries. I think the passport's kind of interesting. You can have multiple passports in Poland. So I recently just talked about the Ukrainian passport where they do not allow dual citizenship, which is always a drawback in my opinion. So just to kind of recap that, again, you have the residency options with starting a company where you're adding jobs to the economy. You're kind of you're stimulating growth inside of Poland. And then you have the options of either being a student or being an employee. Those, again, a bit more complicated. You have to check certain boxes, and it's not just like you can go in there and say, hey, I'm a student. No, you have some paperwork you have to fill out. But this video is just kind of to explain these things to you, right? So if you're curious on individual situations, you can email us. There's an email contact down below in the description. And then, like I said, if you can hold the permanent residency for 10 years, then you can apply for citizenship by naturalization, where potentially you can get the passport, right? So in that case, that's an interesting option. Second option, right? So second option, I would say, is citizenship by descent. Now, keep in mind, citizenship by descent, you have to be in the bloodline of a Polish citizen. It's over the past, I think, 120 years at this point, because it's like anything past 1899, I think it's around that area. So yeah, past 120 years, anything past 1899, if you have a great-grandparent, a grandma, a grandpa, a parent, whatever it is, that is a Polish citizen, you can potentially apply for citizenship by naturalization. Now, this may be a bit of a long process, but it is worth it in the long end, especially the paperwork probably at the end of the day will cost probably under $10,000. Probably a lot less than that if you have everything kind of provable and you don't have to go through your grandma's like birth certificates and things like this. If everything's just kind of easily accessible, you can probably get this process done in about a year. And that's kind of on the long end, right? So you can reach out to us. We do work with some people that can help you with some options in Poland. But I think it's an interesting option, because you can actually obtain this residency, not residency, you can obtain the citizenship through naturalization if, over the past 120 years, if that bloodline has stayed inside of Poland. So if nobody throughout that kind of timeline has renounced their citizenship, like we see a lot of people do now in the US and Canada, a lot of people are renouncing their citizenships and going to more low tax countries, because the trajectory is increased taxes. It's just the fact of the matter. So again, citizenship by descent in that case, if one of your family members has been basically over the past 120 years, citizen of Poland, and they haven't renounced that passport and it's continued to pass down, you can potentially apply for citizenship by descent. Lastly, citizenship by marriage. Now, this one, again, I'm always hesitant to talk about these topics because some people think, get married to someone around the world and then you instantly get the passport. It's never how it works. It's never that simple. In this case, you have to be married for 3 years. Out of those 3 years, you have to be living in Poland for 2 of those years. After you check both those boxes and a couple other kind of more convoluted boxes, that are a bit more like nuanced details, again, kind of per person. Then you can apply. Remember, for all these options, once you kind of check these boxes of, maybe you start a business, maybe you're a student, maybe you're an employee that's a highly skilled worker, maybe your grandparent was a Polish citizen, boom, check the box, then you can apply, right? So it's not just like they're going to hand it to you. You have to do the work yourself. You have to understand these things again. So I can help you with this. Someone on our team can help you with this, or hey, you can do it yourself. I'm not here to really sell you on anything. I just want to lay the information out there. But essentially, you have the situation where if you're married to a Polish citizen, this can be, and you haven't even considered it, hey, maybe it's something to at least think about. Maybe you're staying in Poland for 2 years, boom, then you're married for 3 years. Maybe you were married for a year before you moved to Poland, and then you lived there for 2 years. Boom, you're in an interesting situation where you can apply. Again, you can technically apply before this for pretty much any of these things. You can apply before this, but there can be some repercussions. Anyways, that's pretty much all for this video. So kind of those 3 main options. Citizenship by naturalization. So again, residency permit, obtaining that, holding it for 10 years. Then you have citizenship by descent. So talk about that. Citizenship by descent, past 120 years, if someone in your bloodline, family member, has been a citizen of Poland, then you can apply for citizenship. And then lastly, the citizenship by marriage. So that's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, like the video, subscribe to this channel, stay up to date, hit the notification bell, and click all. Invest Global. As always, one other thing I do want to talk about, you can either let me know your questions and comments down below in the comment section, or you can join the Telegram group, which is a bit better because, YouTube has been deleting some comments, some replies, which are really, really annoying. Like, they don't get rid of the spammy comments, but they get rid of, if I leave a thoughtful reply to someone's question, randomly the algorithm picks it up and deletes it for some reason. So that's why I have the Telegram group, which is linked down below in the description. Just a group of like-minded investors, all talking about global investment strategies. So interesting group there. I think a lot better, honestly, than YouTube comment section. And then also you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at investglobal_IO. That's Twitter and Instagram at investglobal_IO. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, button all, Invest Global, and until next time.